Our first speaker is Alex Hargreaves. She grew up in Dorset, England, and she studied social anthropology at St. Andrews. She was the captain of the second team for the St. Andrew Football Club and a writer for music magazines and a host of a radio show. At Emory, she's taken a wide range of classes, everything from African American studies to history to marketing. In her application, Alex wrote about coming out of COVID and wanting to say yes to everything. So I will let Alex tell you how she said yes to everything at Emory.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to be here with us today, and of course to Augusta National for hosting us in this brilliant room. We really have had the best week, and what a way to round it off. I'm going to get started so we can all get out and watch some golf. Growing up, I was always a very shy kid and struggled to find my feet in situations that were unfamiliar. I am proud that over the years, I have been able to develop the ability to push myself out of my comfort zone more and more. But as much as I've worked to do this, I've come to realize that growth doesn't occur in isolation. It happens in the communities you are surrounded by and the people that encourage and uplift you along the way. When I landed in Atlanta last year, I could feel the voice of that shy, younger version of myself creep back in as I took on the challenge of starting over in a new country. I grew up in a tiny town in the south of England, and I went to university in a tiny town in Scotland. So Atlanta felt like a big change. But after our first week here, I felt safe, supported, and welcomed by the community that I suddenly found myself a part of. Sport, as Dean Brzezinski said, particularly soccer, has always played a huge part in my life and has provided me with some of the deepest connections and the best times I could have imagined over the years. So when I suffered an injury in my final season at St. Andrews, I really felt like I had lost a part of my identity, and I wasn't sure how I was going to fill that gap until I found golf. Although I hadn't played much at St. Andrews, I figured that golf might just be the perfect way to fill my time as I recover from my injury. In the past 8 months, however, I have truly fallen in love with it. After many hours at the driving range and warm-up rounds with Magnus and Harris, I played my first ever round of 18 holes in February at Atlanta Athletic, thanks to my mentor, Bruce Farfield. And I had an absolute ball. I never thought I'd be the person practicing my swing in front of the mirror before I went to bed. But here I am. I've found a sport that I know I will play for the rest of my life. Studying here at Emory has been a true highlight of my year. I have had the opportunity to take classes I never would have expected. I was able to bring my love for sports into the classroom with a project in collaboration with the Atlanta Braves. I created a documentary, and I have learned how to produce and mix electronic music. On top of this, in a really small world moment, I wrote an in-depth history paper on a little-known blues musician, a man that I later found out was Jeff McKenna's brother-in-law. Having the space and time to enjoy these classes without the pressure of a degree has been instrumental in the broadening of my mindset. I have reignited my creative nature and consolidated my passion for sports, giving me a clearer focus into the future and what I want to do next. In February, I was inspired by a speech that our chair, Dr. Catherine Lewis, gave at the incoming candidate reception when she spoke of Bobby Jones' commitment to fostering community wherever he went. It reminded me of how much I had benefited from the kindness of the community here in Atlanta, and I felt compelled to contribute back to that in some way. For this reason, I recently started volunteering at City of Refuge Atlanta, a center for families in crisis at their nursery. Working with the children and assisting the staff has been incredibly rewarding and has shown me the impact that consistent engagement and generosity can have on the community. Looking ahead, I don't feel ready at all to leave the US. So I'm currently doing everything I can to stay and begin my career in the sporting and live events world. Tournaments like the Masters serve as a powerful reminder of how deeply sports are woven into the fabric of our society, not just as entertainment, but a means of connection and tradition. This week has been special, joyful, and brilliant. There is truly a magic around Augusta National that is undeniable and addictive. It's truly an honor to be a small part of this tournament and to witness the lasting impact of Bobby Jones' legacy in this way. I'm continually inspired by the people I meet that are connected to this scholarship, not only through their generosity, but the diversity of their paths, their stories, and the way they have used this opportunity to forge meaningful careers and lives. Every conversation I have had within this wonderful community has expanded my perspective and encouraged me to think more boldly about my own future. For me, I think the best part of this scholarship is the longevity and breadth of the network. Although my time as a current scholar is coming to an end, I feel safe in the knowledge that from now on, I will always be a part of it. This truly has been the best and most transformative year in my life, so thank you.
The second scholar who's going to speak is Galvis Mendoza. Victor came to St. Andrews from London and studied philosophy and Russian. Out of class, he volunteered with disadvantaged students and raised funds for charity as the president of the Poker Society. I think he's found opportunities to play poker at Emory as well. At Emory, Victor has fulfilled his goal to take advantage of some CS and math courses, but also enrolled in courses in women's studies, African American studies, and a fiction writing course. So he really has stretched himself. In his application, Victor mentioned that he moved frequently as a child. He and I share that as an experience. And so he was very good at dealing with change. So I'm anxious to hear how he has dealt with the change coming to Emory.
Thank you, Demi, for those kind words. I want to start off by interpolating some of Bobby Jones's words. There are two very important words in the English language that are often ill-used: friend and friendship. When I say to a person that I am your friend, I have said the ultimate. I am at the same time affirming my affection for you and expressing my faith in you and my trust in the sincerity of your friendship. So now I say, greeting my friends of the Bobby Jones community. And that's what this year has truly felt like. The blossoming of a true friendship between myself and you, the people that ensure that this program is fruitful year in and year out. My time at Emory has been truly inspiring. Taking computer science classes has transformed my personal skill set. At St. Andrews, I took a strict diet of humanities classes, so the opportunity to develop analytical and technical abilities cannot be understated. It has opened doors for me to graduate schemes here in the US and in the UK that would have been previously closed to me. Moreover, given the crucial intersection in technology that we are approaching, Emory has given me the chance to position myself right at the heart of it. As AI enters every facet of our lives, the skills to understand what is happening on a technical level, as well as being able to discuss the ethical and moral concerns of these technologies, highlights to me how indispensable Emory University has been in my academic and professional development. I've always believed that sharing a meal with someone is the easiest way to create a true connection. Atlanta has provided me with plenty of opportunity for this. Whether it was the home-cooked meals of my French and Middle Eastern friends studying at Tech, or the chance to try all the holes in the walls that people have been suggesting to me with friends that I made while exploring the city. Each and every one of these meals has served to lay the foundations of a friendship that I hope to cultivate into lifelong friendships. And through these meals, I saw the beauty of being in a hub of diversity. On each plate, I could taste the influences from different places. Salsas alongside fried chicken or oysters from either coast. It made me realize that being in Atlanta has allowed me to do something similar. From little phrases, new musics, and ways to see the world, I have borrowed from all the people that I can now call my friends. I'd be amiss not to speak about the three people who have influenced me the most this year. Big cities tend to create hard shells around people, but this couldn't be further from the truth for Josh. I still remember the day, back in September, when he jogged across the entire length of the lawn in Claremont to help a family take a photo. They respectfully declined, but that moment stuck with me. That moment stuck with me, pulling me out of my Londoner frigidity and teaching me to offer a hand, not just to those who are close to me, but to anyone I come across. With all the hecticness of the scholarship, downtime is rare, and yet my fondest memory with Magnus was sharing quiet words late into the night about our troubles with those we love, who we've left waiting for us far away. I found some solace in the shared struggle, but it was this advice to trust in myself and life's plan that helped me through my emotional turmoil. And Alex, for always reminding me to make the most of every moment and make full use of my free will. When Alex came in one October afternoon talking about her lovely study session on the main Emory lawn, I realized how badly I was making use of my time in Atlanta. I'd spent that day locked in my room with the blinds down and the door closed. And it made me realize how narrowly I was looking at life. It pushed me to disrupt my routines and to make the most of what each and every day had to offer, rather than doing what felt standard and easy to do. With the end of my time on the Bobby Jones on the horizon, I'm now applying for internships and graduate programs in London, ranging from software engineering to data analytics. But before that, I hope to see many of you on the stops along the way on our road trip across America, enjoying more of what the South and the West Coast have to offer, and more importantly, to spend some more time with my great friends. Thank you.
Josh Rankin grew up in Scotland, and at St. Andrews he studied modern history and social anthropology. Outside of class, he served as the accessibility officer for disabled students, and this is a cause that he has been a strong advocate for. He was also involved in a variety of extracurricular activities, everything from archery to opera. At Emory, Josh has continued coursework in anthropology and history. I periodically run into him on the quad in active conversation with some Emory students. It's always someone different, so he's clearly met a large number of friends. In his application, he noted that he has a passion for learning and for understanding history, and I look forward to hearing how he's done that at Emory.
Hi folks. So as Dean B said, my name's Josh and I'm one of the Bobby Jones Scholars this year. So I think from the rest of my wonderful kind of fellow scholars, you've heard a lot about like what we've done this year, the things we went to. So I thought I'd kind of take it in a bit of a different direction. After hearing a bit about me and having met me, I'm sure you're expecting this to be 15 minutes long, but don't worry, I've been told to give it a shot. And as well as that, you're probably expecting some like tongue-in-cheek, long-winded, humorous speech, me travelling all over the country, the time I unquestionably ate a habanero provided by this man, only to have to chug a litre of milk, or my return to archery after a year-long hiatus, alongside my exploits in karaoke across the States, to varying degrees of success. And while these have all been like spectacular and life-changing experiences, today I would like to share with you why this scholarship means so much to me. Bobby Jones famously said that you play the ball where it lies. And while a lot of people think that this is about integrity, which I do think it was, for me it struck a very different chord. For me, it talked about his perseverance, his resilience, and his adaptability. When I applied for this scholarship, one detail about Bobby Jones's life stood out to me among all of the others, and that was that throughout all of his life and everything that he achieved, a little known fact is he suffered with a severe spinal condition throughout most of it. And he never made a peep, he got down, he'd done the work, and he adapted. I found this remarkable, and in some ways it paralleled my own journey with education, that through spectacular challenge, there arises amazing opportunities. When I was around 16, in the middle of my first set of exams for high school, and I was determined to be a physicist, no matter the cost, I was hospitalized and diagnosed with MS. For those who don't know, MS is a neurological and spinal condition that leads to brain damage, loss of function in the limbs. Now, as quite an arrogant high school student, very in his own head about how smart he was and how intelligent he was, this was an absolute disaster for my goals. University kind of went from being one path that I saw was easy to kind of, becoming something more in the world, to something that was really fraught with difficulty and uncertainty. But just as I was kind of sinking into this despair, an opportunity came along. This was the Sutton Trust Summer School in St Andrews to study history. In a whirlwind week there, I rediscovered my passion for the subject and gained the tools I needed to apply to St Andrews. When my application to St Andrews was successful, I was absolutely shocked, but never happier. My 4 years in St Andrews gave me more than security though. They forced me into an adult. I fell in love with the community there, much as Bobby Jones did. At the end of my kind of experience in St Andrews, I was kind of thinking, right, okay, we've got the degree, time to get a job, kind of let's settle down, do you know what I mean? Put the nose to the grinder, earn some money. Still kind of thinking in that narrow mindset of, you know, succeed, succeed, succeed. And it was at this point that the Robert T. Jones Scholarship came into my life. Nothing could have prepared me for the fantastic year that I've had. I've travelled far more than I expected to in a lifetime, never mind a year. And I've met people through this scholarship that I know will be friends for life. My academic potential is a particular point of enjoyment this year. In my first semester, I explored new topics, such as anthropological theatre, which helped me to explore new ways of knowing. The things we say and the language we use to say them matters. Anthropological theatre also helped me to explore my own and others' experiences with disability, and it gave me a real opportunity to come to terms with myself and my MS in a way that I never had before. The people I've met, from my professors to my fellow students, have transformed how I think about history as a subject as well. From a kind of long listing of facts that I'm sure would all bore you to tears, to a subject of stories and narratives. I think we all have narratives, the stories that define us as people. My hardships shape my story, much as I think Bobby Jones built his fierce determination off his own troubles. But the opportunities that have come from them have made my life truly spectacular. My time on this scholarship has enabled me to develop in my academics, relationships, and personal character, preparing me for the next chapter in my life. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I received my offer to return to the University of St Andrews to study an MLit in transnational, global, and spatial history. In returning to St Andrews, I'll be continuing my dream to be the first person in my family to earn a doctorate. But thanks to the Bobby Jones Scholarship, I know that that is only the beginning and not the end. Thank you.
Magnus Burnet grew up, he's Danish and Scottish, but he grew up in Kenya. And I will say, it wasn't until I was actually doing this introduction that I realized that there's this connection between Magnus and Lydia, who both grew up in Kenya in international communities. Magnus is a second-generation St. Andrews University student, so he stands out in that way as well, as that he has this family connection to St. Andrews. At St. Andrews, he studied geography and sustainable development, and outside of class, he was an RAF military cadet and was very active in TEDx, putting together presentations and talks for that group. He is also an avid golfer and passionate cook. He can tell you whether he is a good golfer and good cook, but he's very avid about it. At Emory, Magnus has focused on the visual arts in his classes. And occasionally, students will talk about the mysterious bagpiper who is on the top of the Claremont parking garage. This year, that's Magnus. So.
Thank you, Dean Brzezinski, and I apologize to anyone who has heard my bagpiping so far in the scholarship. So, having spent the last 5 years largely with a simple, narrow purpose, first getting into St Andrews and then gaining my degree, starting this year promised something different, offering the opportunity to explore, expand, and maybe even play. From the moment I landed in Atlanta, that promise has felt so real. I found myself almost immediately on the golf course and enrolling in the most exciting classes I could find. It would have been easy to have thought of this year as a break. However, the classes I have taken this year and the opportunities that I have had have absolutely reshaped how I think and altered the big decisions I'll make in my life. In the spirit of a year of expansion, I decided that at Emory I would step outside of the comfort zone of my geography degree and chose courses that intentionally stretched my perspective. Bobby Jones, after all, wasn't just a golfer. He was a lawyer, an engineer, and a man who wore many hats. I figured I should try a few myself. From marketing to graphic design and management to golf, I have tried and learned so many new things over the last year that have meant I'm leaving Emory undoubtedly a better rounded person. And thanks to Southern cooking, that's true in a more literal sense too. My longest running class this year has been in photography, and I've spent hours exploring the streets of Atlanta with my camera, getting to really know the city and its people. My most recent assignment forced me to create 6 portraits of someone I had never met. That might sound simple, but for me, approaching strangers doesn't come naturally, and this forced me out of my comfort zone. However, mainly because I had to, and armed with a strange accent and a camera in my hand, I headed out to the park. Having walked in circles for a while, I mustered up all my nerve and decided I would approach the next person I saw. Unfortunately for me, around the corner came an enormous man with the biggest Rottweiler I have ever seen. But what a guy. While Dave and Charles struck poses for me, we chatted about Scotland and Atlanta and places unknown, and we're still in touch today. These encounters and the hours afterwards spent in the darkroom, developing photos and curating work has helped me understand the power of visual storytelling and self-expression. It has introduced me to a passion I know I will carry for a lifetime and equipped me with the tools and desire to work in a career that engages me creatively. Outside of the classroom, one of the most meaningful parts of my year has been the opportunity to work within the legacy of another great Georgian leader. Over the past 4 months, I've interned in the fundraising department at the Carter Center. There, I've had the chance to apply my undergraduate degree in the real world and the privilege of seeing firsthand how service-driven work can create tangible and lasting change. My time at the center was largely spent writing about the impact the Carter Center initiatives have in fighting trachoma, a condition that causes permanent blindness in millions of people, and one that I've seen in many communities in my home country of Kenya. Despite being far from home, I've been surprised by how connected I have felt. The world seemed small when I found myself writing about places I know and love from an office in Atlanta. Working each day, feeling I had played a small part in something meaningful, showed me how I might continue contributing to the places and issues I care for, even from afar. I began my work at the center in January, shortly after the passing of President Carter. The global outpouring of love and admiration for him was deeply moving and made me reflect on what legacy really means. For both President Carter and Bobby Jones, their greatness wasn't only measured by their accomplishments, but by the kindness, humility, and empathy with which they moved through the world. As I reflect on my time as part of the Bobby Jones community, it's this spirit which has been at the heart of my experience. The generosity I've received in time, advice, encouragement, and endless opportunities from so many of you in this room is truly what has made this year so special and is a testament to the strength of this wonderful community. So thank you. Of course, no reflection on this year would be complete without mentioning golf. I started the year a bad golfer. I've poured hundreds of hours in the driving range, lost more balls than I can count, and had lessons from the best. And despite everything, I remain, by any reasonable standard, a bad golfer. Bobby Jones said he never learned anything from a match that he won. And this year, thankfully, I've given myself ample learning opportunities. Golf has been a humbling companion this year, one that has taught me patience, resilience, and the importance of returning to something not because you're good at it, because you love it. It has also offered many of the fondest memories of this year, and most importantly, so many new friendships. I'd like to finish by thanking Augusta National for the incredible opportunity to be with you all today, and by wishing the next generation of scholars the very luck in what I have no doubt will be one of the most transformative years of their lives. Thank you.